Hello guys, today we are going to solve our next lead code problem statement, that is valid parenthesis. So let's start. So given a string as containing just the character, these determine if the input string is valid. And input string is valid if open bracket must be closed by the same type of bracket. Open bracket must be closed in the correct order. Every close bracket has a corresponding open bracket of the same type. So first is open bracket must be closed by the same type of bracket. So if this is open bracket, it should be closed by the same type of bracket, that is this. So this bracket does not match with the square bracket or the curly bracket, right? This is the matching bracket. Open bracket must be closed in the correct order. The order should be also be correct. So for example, if I give an example like this, so is it a correct order? No, because we have this open bracket and this should be closed by the same type of bracket. So this is the same type of bracket and this is in the middle. So the order is not correct. This is the correct order, right? This is the correct order. So let's take an example. Suppose if we take simply this or this or this. So these all are correct order. If we take a second example. So the type of the open bracket is same here. So if we first take value as this open bracket, and if we take the second value, that is a closed bracket, so it is of the same type, this is correct. Then we take the third value, then we take the fourth value, it is also of the same type, this is correct. Then we take the open bracket and it should be closed by the same type of closing bracket. Next we take the last bracket and it is also of the same type. So this is correct, this is correct. So how to solve it? How to solve it? Let me clear all the drawing. So the way to solve is this problem statement. If you know about these compiler, right? When you write code, you add these brackets, right? So there are certain kind of ordering, like inside the bracket, you can add bracket like this, if you know. So the ordering should be same, right? If this is a curly bracket, this should be also be the curly bracket. If this is a square bracket, this should also be square bracket. Similarly, right? The ordering should be same. So we need to find some kind of logic where we can validate the order of the bracket and also the type is also same of the bracket or not. So if you clearly think we are inserting this, then this and this and this, then somewhere we are just removing these, then this, then this and this. So something we are pushing and popping, right? So this is an stack problem statement. So we can solve this by stack. Let me explain it to you. So suppose if I define one stack and I can, suppose this is my input string. So I can simply push in open bracket. So whenever there is an open bracket, push it in the stack. Whenever there is a closing bracket, pop from the stack. Pop from the stack and compare. So suppose this is our stack. So let me take go to another drawing tool that will be more easier to do. Let me clear all drawing. Yeah. So this is my input. I defined the stack. Then first, this is our opening bracket. So what logic we are following? If we are getting open bracket, we are pushing in the stack. If we are getting closing bracket, pop from the stack. So first, this is an closing opening bracket. We are pushing into the stack. In the next step, when this came, we pop from the stack and check like if the last element have the same type of the current element. So we pop from the stack and we check like this is of this type on this element is of this type or not. We pop it, we make the stack empty, and we compare this by this. So this is correct, right? This is correct. Next, we go in the next step. We again uh, push this element in the stack. Then same step we are doing in this step. In this element, we pop from the stack and we check, yeah, this is correct. Similarly, in the last also, we do the same process. Push in the stack and pop from the stack. This is also correct, right? So at the last, we can see our stack is empty. So if our stack is empty, that means the parenthesis is a valid structure. Now let's take another example where we will take the value that is not a valid parenthesis string. Suppose I am taking another stack and I am taking something like this, right? So first we push in the stack. Then we in the next step we got this element. Then we pop from the stack and we check if this is or this matches. They are not of the same type. So immediately we return false. So here only we got the solution. This is not a valid parenthesis. One advantage of stack is like if parenthesis string is very long, we don't need to wait to process the whole string. In any step, if we find out like we are not getting the same type of bracket, we can simply return false, right? We can say ki this is not a valid parenthesis. So let's start coding. So first we are defining our stack of type character. Then we are defining one hash map so that this problem state our code can become less and we can easily solve it. So I am defining one map equal to new hash map, comma. The key and the value pair is character / character, right? I think we don't need to define like this. Yeah. So now let's start putting character in the map. So this is our opening bracket as a key, closing bracket as a value. This is our opening bracket as a key and the closing bracket as a value, opening bracket as an key, and the closing bracket as a value. Now we are simply iterating over the stack. Current character at I, character at I, map dot contains. So we are fetching the uh, character one by one, and then we are checking if this is an opening bracket type. So I am using map dot key set dot contains character. That means it is opening bracket type. I am simply pushing into the stack. If it is closing bracket type, I am popping from the stack. Okay, so I am popping from the stack. If it is of opening bracket type, we are pushing into the stack. If it is of closing bracket type, we are simply popping from the stack. Now we can check the last element in the stack or the current element are of the same type or not. That's why I use map. It become easier than using the if and else loop. Like if opening bracket of curly type and the close is also curly type, and if it is of square type, then it is of the square type. Somewhat it add few lines of code just to save just to make it more simple. I use map. So I can say these are my previous element. This is my current element. This is our key and the value here. So I can say if uh, previous uh, previous is our opening bracket, right? If you know. So map dot get our opening bracket. So somewhere I am just getting the what is the closing type of the last element in the stack, and I am just comparing it with if it is not equal to the current element, I can say immediately return false, right? If the last element in the stack is in last bracket in the stack is not of the same type of the current element, I am just simply saying return false, right? The parenthesis is not valid. One more thing we need to do here, if stack is empty, so some edge cases we need to cover. So if the stack is empty, we know this is the correct answer. This is the valid parenthesis. At last, if some element remains in a stack, so we can say this is not a valid parenthesis. One more thing, like when I equal to 0, we don't have any element in the stack. This might can cause an error. What I'm doing, I'm just initializing it with the minus, and I am saying I am adding some defensive check, like if a stack is empty, if a stack is not empty, simply then pop from the stack. So this is a defensive check. So now let me explain it again so that it become more easier. So here I am just creating a map of the opening bracket as a key and the closing bracket as a value. Then I am iterating over the whole string one by one. So suppose we have this string, right, as an input. So here the first string will be this, right? This is an opening bracket type. So our stack gets the value this, right? In the next iteration, we got this uh, closing bracket type. This is all of the closing bracket type. So it goes on this else. It check what is the previous element. The previous element is of this type. Now it's check if this or this are of the same type or not. So the map dot get, if it get from the map, it get this value, right? The closing bracket type. So this is equal to this, right? So this is correct condition. So this value, this condition will not execute. Next, this will come, the opening square type. Again, it is an opening type. So we again push it in the stack. Then again, this will come. This then again it is of closing type. It pop from the stack, and now it is check. Okay, then it get from the what is the value of the square bracket. It is this value, and this is equal to the this is equal to the current element, that is this, right? So this value also passed. Similarly, this value will also be passed, right? And in the last, we are checking if the stack is empty, right? Then we are returning true. So now we can run the code. Okay, it is working. Now I am submitting the code. Yeah, thank you. Thanks.